Okay, here we are. Another session of bedtime board games. Tonight, we're going to be doing something relatively simple, but ultimately a lot of fun. We're going to be doing Overboss, a boss monster adventure. A tile laying game designed by the people who brought us Boss Monster, which is a card game where you're building a dungeon using cards, and adventurers go through the dungeon, and you're trying to kill those adventurers using your cards by setting up traps and stuff like that. And you get points for killing certain adventurers. This game works off of a similar concept. It uses like all the same kind of characters and stuff like that, the same kind of monsters and the boss monsters and stuff. But instead of building your dungeon, you're setting up your overworld that leads up to the dungeon. And you're populating it with monsters, and you get points depending on how you lay out your overworld. And a normal game, how a normal game works is you're going to determine which terrain tiles you're going to use randomly. There's a deck of cards in the box that you'll draw 5 from, and each set of terrain tiles gets scored differently. The different terrains in the game are forests, graveyards, camps, caves, swamps, castles, volcanoes, summoning circles, cloud islands, and deserts. And then there's a special set of terrain tiles called towers that you can get from the Brotherwise Games website, their store there. And it came with the Kickstarter version of the game, I believe. I don't have those particular tiles, and those won't be used in the type of game that we're using tonight, which is the solo campaign mode. So in the solo mode, you simply try to get the highest score possible. But in the campaign mode, how the game works is they'll give you a set of certain terrain tiles that you'll have to use, and they'll give you certain goals that you have to complete. And you'll have to complete those goals, within a certain number of tries, depending on your difficulty level. And each level has a certain number of goals that you have to try and complete. And then at the end of the game, depending on how high you scored, you'll get a title. So there's no real way to lose the solo mode. It's just kind of for fun. And you can kind of, if you play with your friends or whatever, you can compare your title with your friends. So that's just how the game works. So tonight we're playing level 1. And we have to use Kazana as our boss. And she has a one-time ability to discard and then restock all the terrain tiles in the market, which are these tiles right here. And the tokens do not get replaced. And the tokens refer to these little guys right here. And it uses the term tokens because it's not always going to be monsters, which are down here. There are special types of tokens that get stocked there as well, which will come out of this special bag here. And I'm going to explain how that works here in a second. The terrain tiles that we have are forests, which will score depending on how many forests you actually have in your map. Swamps, which have a base score of 1, and then they get additional points based on if they're next to another swamp and if they're next to a water area on their grid, for a maximum of 3 points per tile. We also have caves, which have a base score of 1, and they get an additional 2 points if they're next to a rocky section, a mountain section of your grid. Graveyards, which have a base score of 1, and then you get additional 5 points if you have the most in a normal game, and additional 2 points if you have the second most. But in a solo play, you get plus 5 points if you have 4 or more graveyards, and an additional 2 points if you have 2 graveyards or more. We also have the camps, which are the orcish camps, and you get additional points based on how many unique camps are in the game. Each camp has a unique banner in the upper right-hand corner, and for each unique camp, you get an additional, you get a set score based on that. And then in every game, you have dungeons. Now, dungeons are scored based on the number of unique tiles that surround it orthogonally. So it's got a base score of 1, and then it's worth an additional point for unique tiles around it for a total of possible 5 points. So if it has like a forest, a swamp, a camp, and then a cave next to it, this dungeon could be worth 5 points. But they all have to be different. If it's got 2 forests next to it, then those aren't unique towards the score. Those would only count as 1 tile apiece. So how this game plays is during a player's turn, they would take 1 tile from the marketplace and its matching token. And then they would place that token on an empty tile, or that they would place that empty tile in one of their corresponding grid spaces on their map. And then they would take that token and place it on an empty tile in their spot. So, for example, I could take this forest and place it on any grid space, and then I would take this skeleton and place it on that particular forest because I don't have any other empty terrain tiles to place it on. If I were to take a dungeon, dungeons cannot hold monsters or tokens. So if I took the dungeon, I would take the corresponding witch here, and then that, since it can't go on this dungeon, I would simply put it off to the side in my layer to be placed later. Then the next player would take their turn. A new tile would come off the stack here, replace the one that was taken, and a new token would come out of the bag to replace the token that was taken as well. And then that would go until all the players had filled up their complete grid on their map. Now, I mentioned special tokens that come out of here. Now, there are a few different special tokens. One is the mini boss, which is indicated by this 2 right here. Now, what that means is they are worth 2 points at the end of the game, and they are untyped, which means they don't match any terrain tiles that come out into your map. Now, this is important because matching creatures to their specific terrains means that they're worth extra points at the end of the game. So that's something that you want to try and do if you can. Well, how do you do that, you may ask, because none of these match. There are certain other tokens that you have that will allow you to do that. Plus, like I said, you can mix and match by taking things like the dungeon, which will allow you to place certain tokens in your lair. One of the special tokens that will allow you to do that is a portal. I don't have an example of one, but it looks like this, but it's got a little green portal inside of it. And that'll allow you to swap 2 tokens or move a token to a different terrain tile. There are also crystals that correspond to each terrain type in the game, and those will give you extra points at the end of the game as well. So overall, it's a very simple game. Now, in the solo way to play this game, after I take my tile and my matching token, the tile and token that's furthest away from the draw stack for the tiles gets shifted off the market and is simply discarded before we refresh the market. And then I start again and I keep going, trying to complete my objectives as stated by my lovely campaign sheet. So my objectives are level 1, welcome to Arcadia. I need to try to create a dark forest, build a group of 3+ forest tiles, and at least one of those forest tiles must have a matching kobold. Swamplandia, build 3+ swamp tiles worth 9+ points. That's going to be a little difficult. And score at least 50+ points. So this could be difficult. So let's be on our way. So I think the first thing that we're going to do is we're simply going to take this forest and we're just going to place it here. And our little friend, the orc, is going to go there. Now, that's our first move. And as per solo play rules, this is the furthest one away from the stack. So it gets discarded along with the switch. And then these shift down. And then we refresh the tiles. And we give out new tokens. Another mini boss. And a skeleton. Okay. Let's see here. My options are thinning. Well, we need the forests for one of our schemes. So let's go ahead and take this other forest. Forests are also going to be big points because forests score based on the amount of forests. Now, the forests don't have to connect necessarily, except for to complete one of our schemes. We need a group of at least 3 forests. And this skeleton comes with it. All right. And that means that this camp gets discarded along with this mini boss. That's a little bit of a waste, but that's all right. Still got another mini boss here. That's Ice Lad. I believe that's what his name is. All the mini bosses have names. The mini bosses, I believe, were given a name in one of the expansions to Boss Monster. Now, I don't have any of those. I have the first Boss Monster game. I played it and I liked it. Thought it was pretty cool, but not a huge fan of it. All right, now we have a couple more options. We can get our third forest, but it's got a witch to match it. We need a kobold to match. And the kobold is the forest creature. It's the actual creature that goes inside the forest. But we also have a cave here with a dragon. And the dragon is the creature that matches. And you can tell because it's got the little icon here, the little cave icon that matches the icon for the tile right here. So, but it would be a shame to lose that mini boss. The mini boss would be worth 2 points. I think. See, I'm trying to keep this top row open because that's where we're going to need to put our swamps in order to score the swamp scheme, in order to get that crystal for the swamp. Because swamps score, they have a base score of 1, and then they get an additional point for being next to another swamp and next to a water area. So in order to get the swamp objective, we need to put a swamp here, which will be worth 3 points because it's base 1, plus 1 for being next to water. And then if we put it next to another swamp, that'll be 3 points. And then if we put one here, that'll be worth 3. And then if we put another one here, that'll be worth 2. And then we'll need to put another one here. So we'll need to put this entire row of swamps in order to score that objective. Well, let's score our forest. No, we're going to go ahead and take a chance. And we're going to put down our cave. Okay, that means that this graveyard gets discarded. Let's see what happens. Oh, there's our first swamp right there. Oh, and the portal came out. There's a portal right there. That'll help us. So we may want to snag that up because there's our kobold friend. So yeah, that's what we're going to do. We're going to snag our camp here. We're going to get our portal. Okay. Then this cave is going to get discarded. We're going to need to get that forest. Oh, wait a minute. We're not going to be able to. No, maybe another one will come up. We'll see what comes up. That may have been a poor play. Another portal. Oh, and the green crystal. The green crystal is for forests, and that'll give us an extra point per crystal that comes out. Per forest that comes out. All right, well, we can't waste a forest. The swamp. So we're going to need to get that swamp, and we'll place it right there. Now we have a choice with this kobold. We can either put him here in this forest because it's open, or we can put him in this camp because it's open. We're going to put him in the camp because I tell you what we're going to do now. Okay, now what we're going to do is we're going to use our portal and we're going to switch him with this orc. Now the kobold matches his forest, and the orc matches his camp. That means it's going to be worth bonus points at the end of the game. Unfortunately, that forest goes away, that witch goes away, and we'll slide all this stuff down. Be a shame to waste that crystal, but maybe we won't have to, depending on what comes out. Another orc in a camp, I mean, that's good. And I mean, got ourselves an interesting setup going on here. See, there's this other thing for scoring points called bands, and bands are monsters that matching monsters that create rows and columns. So if we can get some of those going, that would be kind of nice too. I think that's what we're going to do. I think we're going to go ahead and do this. And we're going to throw down that orc right there. Got two orc camps right next to each other. And they both have matching orcs, but they're both different camps, which means right now we have 4 points based on those two right there. We have 3 points based on these forests. So that's 7 points right there. 3 points based on this. So we're not doing too bad. Well, unfortunately, this camp right here gets toasted, as well as that portal. And we may have to snag up that dungeon. We're going to have to see what comes out here. Oh, can't waste that swamp. Might not have to, though, because of its placement in the order of things. So, yeah, we're going to have to. Yeah. This may be a bad play, but I'm going to risk it. We're going to take that dungeon and we're going to place it right there. And we're going to get this green crystal. And that green crystal is going to give us an extra 1 point per forest at the end of the turn, or at the end of the game. Okay. And that's going to mean that this forest is unfortunately going to go away, as well as its dragon companion. All right, let's see here. Ooh, swamps. I got to remember that I have a special ability thanks to my boss here. You're supposed to play with them face down like that, because if you when you flip them over, that's supposed to signify that you've used their ability. All right, well, we are definitely going to play this swamp right here with a matching witch. Okay, and then this is going to get move there, there, and there. Oh, there's another forest right there. That's going to be, it's actually turning out pretty good so far. We've got so we're not going to waste that swamp, so we're going to take it. And we're definitely going to place this guy right here. because that connects there for banding purposes. Oh, this is going to get discarded along with that skeleton. And that leaves that forest right there too. Now that forest, unfortunately, is going to kind of devalue our dungeon because, like I said, the dungeon scores points for having unique tiles around it, and it's got 1, 2, 3 unique tiles. So this dungeon right now is worth 1, 2, 3, 4. But I need a group of 3 forests to complete one of my schemes. So if I put a forest here, which I'm going to need to, it's going to mean that this dungeon is still only going to remain 4. So, which isn't horrible, but it's not great. Oh, there's my last swamp. I think I'm going to need that swamp because I don't want to risk losing it. Now, I won't lose it because of how things will play out. So I'm going to take that forest. And we'll take the mini boss with it. And we'll just place them right in the forest. And we'll lose that cave. Slide that down. There's another forest right there. Don't know if I want it though. Crystal for the graveyards. Don't need that. And another kobold. Kobold's not going to do any good though. So we're almost done. We have 2 spaces to fill before we finish this level and see what we got. But like I said, we need this swamp. So I'm going to place that swamp right there. Get this crystal for the most camps. Ditch that camp, that mini boss. And now we're going to have to make a decision on how to score the most points. All right. So I believe my best decision to score the most is going to be this camp. It's unique and it gets me a kobold, which I can throw in this swamp because the swamp is open. And that's going to band those 2 together. Okay, so that's the end of the round. And we'll pull out our lovely score sheet here. I laminated a larger version of the score sheet that comes with the game because it's just easier to score that way, and I don't have to constantly go through the actual sheets. So, for forests, which is the first type that we have, I have 3 forests, which score 6 points. Swamps. So this one's worth 3, this one's worth 3, and that one's worth 2, so that's 8. And then that one's worth 3, that's worth 11 points. And they're worth 3 because it's base 1, plus 1 for being next to a water, and then another 1 for being next to a swamp. This one follows the same rules, water next to a swamp, so it's worth 3. This one's worth 1, and then it's next to a swamp, so it's worth 1, but it can't be next to water because it's got this mountain right here. This one is next to a swamp, and it's next to water, so it's also worth 3. So that's 3, 6, 9, plus 2 is 11. Caves. I've only got the 1 cave. It's worth 3. Graveyards. I have 0. camps. I have a total of 3 camps, and they're all unique, which means they're worth a total of 9. Dungeons. I have 1 dungeon, and there's 3 unique tiles to it. So it's base 1 plus 1 for each unique tile. So it's worth 4. So my base tiles score is worth 6, 11, 17, 29, 33. Okay, mini bosses. I have 1 mini boss, he's worth 2. Crystals. I have 2 crystals. My forest crystal is worth 3 points for the 3 forests. And I have the camp crystal, which is worth an additional 3. So that's 6 points. Matching monsters. Monsters that match their tiles. I have 1 here, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Bands. Now, bands are, again, they're the rows and columns. So I have column of 2 here. If there had been 3, it would jump up to 5, but this one's only worth 2. So 2, 4, 6. All right. My token score is 8, 13, 19. My boss score. Every boss has like an end game score. You get additional points for completing certain things. And Kazana's is score 3 for each separate group of exactly 3 tiles of the same terrain type. Well, I have 1 of 1, 2, 3 camps and 2 of 1, 2, 3 forests. So that's 6 points right there. I can't count the swamps because it's not exactly 3, it's 4. So my total is 33 plus 19 is 52 plus 6 is 58. Not too shabby. I completed my goal 3. Swamplandia, build 3 swamp tiles worth 9 points. 3 plus swamp tiles. Oh, that doesn't need to be a group. Okay. I didn't have to put a swamp here. Oh well, whatever. Okay. I did it either way. So goal 2 complete, and Dark Forest. Build a group of 3 plus forest tiles, and at least 1 forest must have a matching kobold. I did all 3 of my groups or goals, which means I got all 3 of my goals, which means I get my Villainy token for that too. Cool. Right on. So I have just completed level 1. And I didn't mess up at all. So while this is an easy game to play, teardown and setup is a little bit complicated because you have to sort everything out. So we are going to do level 2, but it's going to take me a second to go through everything. Because level 2 is going to require different stuff. So if you'll just bear with me a moment as I do this. Okay, mini bosses always go in the game, as do portals. Mini boss. Okay. Skeletons. Dungeons always go in the game as well. Okay. Now, are any of these going in the next phase? Let's see. Forests, swamps, caves, camps. Looks like we're using everything except for the graveyards. So I need to get the graveyards out. The Skelly Mans. Four, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10, and 1 Skelly Man crystal. All right. Yeah. And in their place, the deserts. And what are our bosses? Kyrex or Cleopatra. Interesting. I'll have a choice. Okay. Let's go in. Now, the deserts score based on how many you can link together. They're a pretty cool tile. Now, let's see if I can. That's one of the things I don't like about this game is shuffling these darn tiles. I'm not really good at it. I'm just kind of grabbing randomly. I don't remember what's what. The only thing I do know is that this is a dungeon and I just throw one in randomly every now and then when I feel it's appropriate. Other than that, I'm just kind of playing a weird version of the shell game. All right. Forests, caves, dungeon, and a camp. All right. Give these a good sortie and pull out some. Starting off with a portal. Interesting. All right. Now it's important to note that if you are thinking about purchasing this game, this board right here does not come standard with the game. This marketplace board, you have to buy it separate. Now it only costs like $3 or $4, maybe $5, but it is kind of neat. And one thing I do love about this game is the 8-bit, 16-bit artwork. I don't know if you can tell, but it's all pixelated and everything like that. It's the same thing with Boss Monster. Boss Monster has like pixelated artwork and things like that, so it's very cool. All right, so one difference to our scoring is we are now using deserts. Okay. What are our goals this time? Let's go exploring the Great Desert. Build a group of 4+ deserts. Ooh, at least one desert must have a matching sandworm. Let sleeping dragons lie. Build 3+ caves bordering mountainous edges of the map. At least 2 caves must have a dragon and score 52+ points. Whew. I don't know. Let's try Cleopatra. I don't think I'm going to do as well on this one. I need deserts and caves. That's basically what it is. I need 3 caves and 4 deserts, right? Yeah. All right, let's go ahead and start with the cave. And start in this corner. All right, let's see what happens. I should have started with, oh well. Which boss monster? Mini boss. Mini boss. There's our first desert too. All right, let's get that desert. Okay. Dungeon gone. The tokens coming out are not playing to the strengths of this map. I should have taken that dungeon. My caves are already not hitting the goal. All right. So I need to get a token down there because things are going to get dicey. All right, what did we got here? We got another cave coming out and another dungeon. I do need this desert. Which puts that in there, and that goes there. I'm fine with that. Trying to get this. Oh, there's a portal right there, but that doesn't do me any good. I mean, probably going to regret this, but we'll see what happens. We'll put that witch inside my lair because Cleopatra's ability allows me to use that token as a portal. We're going to see if I can do that at some point. Or, I mean, it isn't looking very good, but we're going to see. Okay, so we're going to take this desert, and instead of putting him there, we're going to put this Swamp Witch there because that's a good band right there. That's going to help me with banding. I like that. So we're getting sort of good polls in a very awkward way, though. Because I still need to put one of those sandworms on a desert. So we're going to pull that camp. We're going to put that there. I know, running out of space. I don't know if I'm going to be able to do this. Probably not. I mean, I haven't. There's one of my. Don't want. Okay, so we're going to take the swamp. We're going to drop it there. We're going to drop that there. And we're going to use this mini boss as a portal. And shit. I'm going to swamp. That switch with that dragon. Okay, that forest and that mini boss go away. Everything slides down. I still need to get and I used my boss's ability, so we're going to take this, and that's going to complete my sort of. If I can get a portal, I can maybe get this done. Maybe. I mean, all right. I think I can. It's not going to be pretty. I'll take that dungeon, put that guy there. This is going away. That's going there. Slide that down. Oh no, that's not going to work. Damn it. No, because I already used my Cleopatra's ability. No, well, I already played it. Let's see what happens. Damn. Bummer. Okay. Boom. And instead of playing him there, he gets played there. Okay. All right. Let's see. Let's try our score. So I got 0 for forests. I didn't play any. I didn't play a single forests. Got 1 swamp, which is worth 3. It's next. Oh no, worth 2. It's not worth next to any other swamps, and it's only next to water. So my score is going to suck. So my caves are worth 3, 6, 9. My desert is a complete link of 4, which means it's worth 12. Okay, that's not bad. And my camp, I got 1 camp, and that's worth 1. My dungeons. This dungeon right here is worth 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. So 4, 8, 13. So that's 11, 23, 24, 37 tile score. That's a little bit higher than my last game. All right, mini bosses. I have one mini boss, which is worth 2, sitting in my lair, probably eating cheese puffs. Crystals. I have 1 for camps, and I have 1 camp, so that's 1. Matching monsters. I have 1, 2, 3. This is going to get rough. Bands. I've got a single band. No, I have 2 bands. I have a band of 3 witches, which is worth 5 points, and then a double band of dragons, which is worth 2. So that's 7. So that's 13 points there. And then my boss score is score +1 for each matching monster on your map. So my matching monster score basically gets doubled. So that's 3. That's 53 points. I beat the scoring one by 1 point. Okay, so yeah, I didn't score the Great Desert one because I wasn't able to put this worm in the desert, but I was able to do the Let Sleeping Dragons lie thing, which is build 3 caves bordering mountainous edges on the map, which is 1, 2, 3, and at least 2 caves must have a matching dragon, which is these 2 right here. So I got 2 of the crystals, which is all you need in order to move on to the next level. But because I didn't get all 3, I don't get the Villainy icon. So I've completed 2 levels, and yeah. I wonder. So that's Overboss. I actually wonder if I haven't played this game too often. Played it a couple times with my brother and a couple of my friends. Yeah. Reveal ability once per game. Yep. Just wanted to make sure because it does seem like a powerful ability. So welcome to Overboss. It's a fun little tile placement game. Like I said, nothing complex about it really. You're just trying to earn more points than the other person in a actual multiplayer game. But it's actually more difficult than it looks. All the other tiles, see, you know how the dungeons score. You know, you want unique tiles around the dungeons. You can't just clog it up with multiple dungeons. That's the cool thing about this, the way this game works. You can't just pick one tile and use it. I mean, there's a couple exceptions to that, kind of. The forests, the more forests you have, the better the score. It does cap at 5. You won't score any more points past that. You'll get a total of 15 points. So after you have 5 forests on here, you might as well stop. Graveyards is whoever has the most just gets a 5-point bonus. And the boss with the second most graveyards scores 2. Otherwise, graveyards are worth 1 apiece. Camps, the Orcish camps, unique camps. If you have 4, you can get 16 points. Caves, they can be worth 3 points as long as they're connected to mountains. We went over the swamps. They're base total 1. They get an additional point if they're next to an additional swamp, and an additional point if they're next to water. And then the other ones are castles, which they're in the box, but they have a base value of 2, and they're worth another 2 points if they have a vampire in it. So they can be worth 4 points. Whoops, destroy my overworld. Earthquake. Volcanoes are just worth 4 points, but every time you put a volcano down, it destroys any monsters that are connected to any tiles that are next to it. Summoning circles, they're kind of unique. When you put down a summoning circle, they're only worth 1 point, but when you put it down, you may immediately exchange the token that you place on top of it or a token on a tile bordering it with one that's on the market. The clouds, they have a base value of 7, but they lose 1 point for every non-cloud tile on your map. So if you start putting other tiles that aren't clouds on your map, you start losing points for them. And like I said, deserts, they are worth as many points as you can link together. So they're worth, if you have 1, it's worth nothing. If you get 2 of them together, it's worth 2. 3 together are worth 6. 4 are worth 12, and 5 together are worth 20. And I don't remember how the towers are scored. Like I said, I don't have those. Maybe I'll come back tomorrow and we'll play level 3. And we'll see where we can go from there. The little monster tokens are really cool too. You can't really get a good look at them. Let's see here. Like this is one of the witches. You can see the little witch right there. Yeah, glare is killing it. But there's a little witch right in the center, and then the little terrain tile icons right there. But it's the little 16-bit icon, and they all got the same art on it. So, I mean, some of them have different poses, but not many of them. There's dragons for the caves. There's the witches for the swamps. Sandworms for the deserts. The graveyards have skeletons, orcs for the camps, kobolds for the forests, vampires for the castles, little mages for the summoning circles, pixies for the clouds, fire elementals for the volcanoes. Nothing for the dungeons because the dungeons don't have anything. And I think it's trolls or something like that for the towers. Trolls or ogres or something of that nature. Yeah. Oops, that's a camp. Almost threw camp inside the desert. Yeah. So, well, folks, thanks for joining me. Tonight's kind of a short session, about an hour long. I hope you enjoyed it. Nothing complicated tonight. And just remember to play more games and enjoy your time. I will talk to you sooner.